give you another floor. Ms. Aparajita, what is your address, sir?
Thank you, Azad. There are a couple of solutions for this. As developing countries like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, one solution, one solution is that IP-based mergers and acquisitions. When you talk about IP-based mergers and acquisitions, cross-border mergers and acquisitions and development is the major concern. There are ways to stimulate innovative activity such as government funded research and development, encouraging use of savings and other resources of the invention family for capital investment, and more recently facilitating the participation of the so-called investment angels. However, the influence of IP has been growing steadily on his own, especially in the knowledge-driven areas such as information technology, communications and biotechnology. So, adequate legal infrastructure and progressive policies on protection of intellectual properties required, but also active national IP policies, not only the international policies but also active national policies and positive widespread public conviction and awareness is necessary, because there are some instances that industries don't know what is IP and what is their rights. So we have to make the public aware of the subject. And also the factors, we have to discuss the factors influencing the growth of IPR first. As long as we know the factors, we know how to get it through. So firstly, an array of other factors influences growth in ways that could be more important than tighter IPR, such as openness to international trade and investment. So any country, any developing country, it has to have openness to international trade investments. That's why Sri Lanka and Bangladesh both, we are in a lot of free trade agreements, and we are in some free trade zones as well, and bilateral agreements, multilateral agreements, so on and so forth. And the second thing is encouragement of an adequate technology infrastructure. So any country which is developing, we have to have an adequate technology infrastructure to improve IPR. Then again, macroeconomic stability. Macroeconomic stability is also a very important factor, because when it comes to Sri Lanka, we have the finance policy is a macroeconomic policy. So macroeconomic stability is really important to make some sort of policies, and also support for literacy and technical education. So that is very important to influence the growth of IPR. And the second factor in this is developing countries usually don't have broad and coherent set of collateral policies and transparent regulations. Therefore, IPRs could have numerous and contradictory effect on development. So sometimes in Sri Lanka, as a patent agent, I have noticed there are a lot of patents, but they are not properly exploited. They are not properly sold or assigned or licensed. So we have to have broad set of collateral policies and also transparent regulations to improve IPR. However, the system bears considerable promise for promoting growth in long run for the development of modern business structures. And also the third factor is IPR as a supporting mechanism in economic growth. So this factor changes with income and technological advance. if structured to promote effective and dynamic competition and centered within a framework of competitive processes and appropriate regulations. Usually, developing countries, there are a lot of anti-competitive practices like monopolies, usually in the electric industry. So there are monopolies. So we have to have appropriate regulations and for IPR to foster technical change and growth. And also there are several channels through which IPR could stimulate or limit economic development and growth because of these anti-competitive trade practices. So, protection of intellectual property rights serves a dual role in economic development. While it promotes innovation by providing legal protection of inventions, it may retard catch-up and learning by restricting the diffusion of innovations. So, we'll see how the intellectual property rights could enhance domestic innovation. A primary question is how IPRs affect technological innovation, diffusion and learning. In the past, many developing countries and some new developed countries established systems that favored low-cost diffusion of information through limitation of foreign products and technologies. This approach could be favored to the extent that domestic innovation is insufficiently developed to warrant protection. However, weak IPRs can cause much innovation is aimed at local market and can benefit from protection via petty patents, utility models, trademarks and trade secrets. So, innovation in poor countries consists overwhelmingly of minor adaptations of existing technologies, the cumulative effect of which can spur growth in knowledge and economic activity. To succeed economically, firms in developing economies may need to adopt new management and organizational systems and techniques to quality control. These investments tend to earn high social returns because they raise productivity and encourage wider adoption by competing firms. They are closely and are likely to be undertaken only when risk of unfair competition and misappropriation are small. Similarly, learning and technical change typically proceed through adapting available technologies to local needs. IPR provides protection for firms undertaking those costs. Furthermore, adequate and foreseeable IPRs help reward risk-taking among new enterprises. For example, evidence suggests that reliance on utility models improved productivity in some technology followers countries like in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So I'll give you some examples from Brazil and Philippines. Contrastingly to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, in Brazil, utility models help domestic producers gain large share of the farm machinery market by adapting foreign technologies to local conditions. In Philippines, they encourage successful adaptation of rice threshes. So I got some information from WIPO. As per WIPO statistics, I got the patent information. So when it comes to Sri Lanka, total patent applications were 642 in 2018. Patent applications were 642. In Bangladesh, like we will have some sort of a idea what has happened to our country. Sri Lanka, there are 642 patent applications. Bangladesh in 2018 there were 384 patent applications. USA there were 643,303 patent applications. EU 174,491 patent applications. So out of these patent applications, the patents which are in force in Sri Lanka is 382, Bangladesh 990, USA 307,759. When you compare that with GDP, Sri Lanka GDP is US dollars 259. Luckily, Bangladesh is exceeding Sri Lanka's GDP. The patent GDP is 625.93 or something. USA is 18,217. EU patent GDP is 6.6 trillions. So now see the economic growth of our countries. So it's very clear that there should be some sort of a revolution in intellectual property regime in Sri Lanka as well as Bangladesh. Bangladesh is much better than Sri Lanka because out of their patents, Bangladesh had international patents which is in force. So we'll see how can both nations and individuals utilize the patent system and develop national intellectual property assets. Usually in other countries, intellectual property is national intellectual property assets. But in Sri Lanka, after reading the statistics, we don't consider intellectual property as a national asset. So there might be a need to question the assumption of applying the same patent standard to all. In Sri Lanka, the patent standards are very low. The system is more or less, the patents are more or less petty patents, even though they are not called as petty patents. And also a national strategy may need to be effectively set up on the basis of a country's unique requirements and priorities. Addressing the questions as to how the patent system can play an important role in fostering development and eradicating poverty will certainly contribute to a better understanding of the role of the patent system in the broader range of national development policy measures and to formulate a patent policy that meets the interests of each country. So each country has to have customized patent policies, and also through which the post-war Japanese system. So I took this example from Japan. Japanese system promoted Japanese technical progress. They measured growth by increase in the combined productivity of labor and capital, computing an index that economists call total factor productivity, means TFP. The JPS, that means Japanese patent system, evidently was designed to encourage incremental and adaptive innovation and to promote the diffusion of knowledge throughout the advancing manufacturing sector. So the policy of Japan used for this purpose included an extensive system of utility models, which is not there in Sri Lanka as well as in Bangladesh. Utility models, early disclosure patents applications with active opposition proceedings and narrow claim requirements. So I went through some research on this. The scholars named Keith E. Marcus, he has found that this system induced large number of utility model applications for incremental inventions which were developed in part from knowledge gleaned by reading prior applications for invention patterns. In the aggregate, these utility models has a significantly positive impact on productivity growth. And patent application had a weaker but also a positive effect. Thus, utility models were an important source of technical change in Japan. And patent applications both directly and indirectly raised productivity. It is interesting that in recent years, as Japan became global leader in fundamental technology creation, its patent system shifted markedly towards stronger protection of basic inventions, such means utility models. So we have to enhance the weak trademark protection because the development restraints because of weak trademark protection, trademark infringements and weak enforcement in poor nations. Sometimes the enforcement is also weak in poor nations. So when it comes to Sri Lanka, I saw a pattern, I saw a trademark, avocado. Avocado has been registered as a trademark. So avocado is the name of a fruit, means the butter fruit. So practically most of the poor nations have weak trademark protection. Therefore, even though we have a universal trademark protection, because of this weak trademark protection, we can't go globally. And also territorial nature of trademark protection. So territorial nature of trademark protection will prevent the poor countries like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh to go to other countries, I mean EU and America, because of the high cost. And also the awareness of the importance of patents as well as trademarks in industries. So what we do is academics write whole heap of articles, we do a lot of research, but industrially the entrepreneurs, their awareness on these IP rights are very less. And also the other problem and other solution to the problem is preventing counterfeiting of trademarks. So when we go to Malaysia, there are whole heap of counterfeits. Even in Sri Lanka, there are counterfeits of perfumes, bags, shoes. But Malaysia, you can see a whole street of counterfeits of goods. And also, we have to capitalize our trademarks. In order, with regard to trademark infringements, we have to note that trademark infringement in China is concentration on labor-intensive products in which China has a strong comparative advantage. From this evidence, it seems that trademark violations may particularly frustrate enterprise development in poor nations. Copyrights also may materially promote business development. In the presence of weak and poorly enforced protection, copyright industries such as publishing, entertainment, and software are likely to be dominated by foreign enterprises and pirate firms. Thus, imitative copies are cheaply available, but the economy's domestic culture and technological development is discouraged. And also, another solution for this is technology transfers. Intellectual property rights could attract technology transfer. Domestic innovation could be one source of long-term growth encouraged by IPRs. These benefits could come also from greater volumes of imports, inward foreign direct investment, and licensing, all of which embody technology transfers in some degree. Regarding international trade, IPR was included in the Uruguay round on the grounds that variable standards distort international trade. Indeed, economic theory shows that weak protection could raise or reduce trade, depending on many factors. It also is possible that excessively protectionist IPRs could deter legitimate trade or facilitate collusion. Suppose that developing country implements stronger patents. This policy establishes basic trade-off between greater market power for rights-owning firms and greater market demand for those firms as local limiters are made less competitive. The first effect would monopolistically reduce trade volumes, but the second effect would increase relationship between patent rights and bilateral trade manufacturing sectors. Within large developing economies, the strength of national patent laws had a positive and significant impact on imports in many product sectors. In these countries like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, the market expansion effect dominated, indicating that weak patents in large developing economies are barriers to manufacturing imports. So we have to reduce these barriers. And the impact were weaker but also positive in the small developing countries. I'll give you a interesting case, the Novartis case. Because of the pharmaceutical patent of Novartis, most of the developing countries, poor countries, were deprived the right to life. Even the human rights, basic human rights, were deprived because of some pharmaceutical patents. And also, we have to consider the lower patent index of third world countries. So when it comes to Sri Lanka as well as Bangladesh, we have to increase the lower patent index. Patent index means the ratio of a country's share in the total number of OECD patents. OECD means Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. In other words, a patent index value of 1 means that the country's importance in overall OECD patenting matters its economic importance within the OECD. The scenarios entailed marked increases in the indexes of developing countries but did not impose full harmonization with laws in developed countries. Therefore, harmonization is also important.